Hey, Coupley Fit fam. Welcome to another episode of the Coupley Fit podcast, where we're talking all things health, marriage, and mindset. Today, we are going to be talking about marriage, and a big component of that is date nights. But we know that it's a little bit more expensive than what we would prefer, so we're going to be talking about inexpensive date nights.
Yes, things that you can do for date night if your money is funny and your change is strange.
Ooh, change is strange.
Been there.
Been there. So, actually, let's start with how we've been there. And one of the stories, if you want to go into a couple of stories, this is back in 2019 when we were struggling the most.
Yeah, well, I think, when I think about it, and I saw a tweet this week, and it was somebody that said, we're 3 days away from the first of the month, rent is due, and I'm $800 away from paying my rent.
Been there.
What can I do basically with like 3 days? Like there's 3 days left on the clock.
What can I do?
What do I do? And I think there's so many people that are dealing with, and I was just looking at the comments on X or Twitter, and I was seeing all of the people like, yo, I've been there, or, these are the things, give blood plasma, try this. And I was just like, it's so real for so many people. And then you see social media and it's like, oh, you should be going on date nights. You should be enjoying your spouse. You should be doing all these things. It's like, well, what if I don't have gas to go anywhere?
Okay,
what if I don't have money to tip or money for just extra going out?
Yes.
And so
even fast food now is expensive.
I mean, we've been there where we're at In-N-Out and it's one fry.
Share.
Maybe no burger. Maybe one burger, one fry, right? But like, if you're at that point, what can you do to still date your spouse and not lose that connection when you're going through those valleys?
The first and foremost is when we talk about date nights, it's the value of quality time. And yes, that's a part of the 5 love languages, but when we really talk about quality time, it's extremely important. And then there's also some misconceptions around it as well. Some people may say, oh, it's a clingy relationship, or are you whipped, right? And it's like, well, first off, I'm in a marriage or I'm in a long-term relationship. Yeah. That's okay. And second, when we talk about quality time, it's really the emphasis on quality.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about quality, there's no dollar amount associated with that.
That's right.
So, for all of the people that are like, oh, the first date or the dates need to be $1,000 or $100, just like,
slow it down.
Pause. You can actually, and this is not to be cheap or any of those things, but it could be so thoughtful to actually plan a picnic at a park or bringing food from home. You actually have the blankets set up. You maybe have some questions or things that you can ask, right? But I'm just like, those are all things that we've even done where it's like we don't have the money to go out tonight or spend $100 or $1,000 on some extravagant experience. How do you just still engage and still make sure that time and moments are quality?
Right. And quality in my mind is being present. It's showing up and being present in that moment, that there's that, goes back to the Rihanna song, make me feel like I'm the only girl in the world. It's that same situation where I want all of your attention. I want it undivided as well, right? Phones away, preferably either kids are asleep or somebody is watching them, where we can have that true quality and intimate time together where we're both present in this moment. And I think that can be overlooked because we have so many distractions, whether it's digital distractions. I don't want to say kids are a distraction, but it can be in some cases where you may not be able to really dive into the quality component, but it is extremely important, especially when we talk about relationships and marriages. So do you think that there are misconceptions when it comes to dating your spouse or just inexpensive date nights, in the sense of you need to have a lot of money to be able to go on a date?
I think so. I think 100%. And I think that it's this era and culture right now of the social media era. And social media is a great thing, but when you see on social media it going viral that you can't go to Cheesecake Factory on a date because that's being cheap.
Come on.
Like that really blew my mind.
That blew my mind.
And that's not fast food. This is sit down dining.
Sit down. Cheesecake.
What? Yeah, I mean, you can flip through that menu for days.
Days.
But I say that to say, like, those types of viral, oh, if you're not making this amount of money, I even see some of the tweets, if you're not making X amount of dollars, you shouldn't be dating. Like, that's crazy. And what I always say to those people too is, are you bringing that to the table? Like, how do you have this standard that someone needs to make X amount of dollars to be dating, but yet you don't make that, or you don't you're not able to cover the cost of the bill? Like, don't expect that of someone that you're going out with, right? And so I think those types of conversations and dialogue make it to the point where even couples, someone that's in a relationship or a marriage, it's like, ooh, I can't necessarily afford to do it. Or what do I do? Or is it going to be looked at as I'm being cheap if I do something that doesn't cost a lot of money? But I love what you said earlier of the quality time and being present, because there's people that are spending $1,000, or, people can spend $10,000 on a vacation or whatever it is, but you were on your phone the whole time, emailing, talking on the phone, and you were never there with your partner or your family. And it felt like you were never with us. Right. And you hear people say that all the time. Like, yeah, you were there.
Your body's here, but you're not physically, you're not mentally here. Right.
So sacrificing the cost of, like, yeah, you maybe put the money there, but being present. And I think we always think about that, or you hear that of the dad that's like, oh, he made all of this money, but he was never present, compared to the dad that maybe didn't have all the money, but he was walking you to practice or walking you to school or being there every day.
Those are the memories.
That's what you remember.
That are long lasting.
Correct. Same thing in a relationship.
Same thing. And to your point, when it comes to the misconceptions that you have to spend a lot of money, I remember even our first date night or date period was at Dave & Buster's.
Great time.
$50, which at the time when we were in college, that was expensive, but $50, you have all access to the games. We didn't get any food or drinks, but we were really there for the thrills of the game, of the games. So it really is, again, what is your bracket, right? What's the money that you're able to actually spend? And then if you don't have the money, then what are some kind of free opportunities or free things that you can do? So we're going to dive into that a little bit here in the episode. But before we do, we want to talk about why you should not only be having date nights, but then also how important it is to your relationship. So one of those ways, it's an enhanced emotional connection. You feel like, okay, we are now able to connect on a different level because we don't have any distractions. It's just going to be you and I. We're present. We're in the moment. We're looking at each other. We're having a conversation, hopefully. And it is just allowing you to be able to emotionally, we always say be vulnerable, right? We like to have the saying of a judge-free zone. So it's, I might say something like, gosh, I want to tell you something, but I'm a little nervous to tell you. And it's judge-free zone. As soon as somebody says that, it's okay, now I can be more open with you about my vulnerability or how I'm feeling in this moment. And it just, again, it allows to have that deeper emotional connection together.
Yeah. And speaking of the connection, I think so often, people are trying to find that reconnection or that bridge.
Yes,
the spark, and it takes effort.
It does.
And when you talk about a date night and how often should you have date night, or should there are date nights important? I think about a team, for example. So whether it's work, and I always like to use sports as an example, right? But right now for the NFL fans, OTAs just started, or training camps are getting ready to start. And you hear the coaches talk about how important it is to have everybody in the building, or to have the camaraderie and the time spent together. Man, we want to have our quarterback passing to the wide receivers. We want to have meetings where everybody's in the room and they're connecting and building the relationships. If that's important for a team to win a championship, how important is it for the relationship to continue to thrive in a marriage? Absolutely. To be able to still, call it the championship the next anniversary. Right. We want the next anniversary to be something that we're celebrating and we're excited about. Right. So how do we do that? It's the off season. It's the weekly date night. It's the prioritization, putting it on the calendar. Those are the things that make a big difference. When I think about how do we go from maybe no spark, or there could be more spark. And we all feel like there could be more spark. I feel like we see a couple that's shining bright or loving on each other. We're like, hey, what's y'all secret? What y'all, what are you doing? What are y'all doing, so that we can add that to our mix as well?
And I think it's also a great opportunity to reduce stress too, right? Now it's, okay, there maybe have been stress around the relationship or just stress in your situation, but now when you're able to sit down and hopefully you can be vulnerable with that person. That's also what we talk about with date nights, is to be able to put a time limit on also how much you talk about the kids, because that's something that we've heard when we do talk to some parents that are going on date nights. They're spending a majority of the time talking about the kids. And then it's like, okay, well, what about our relationship? Like, where are we? And you've heard us, if you've listened to some previous episodes, we always talk about your love tank. And where is your love tank? And you have a love tank, you know, maybe for your kids, but then you also have a love tank for your relationship. And where is that? And are we able to fill that up, which is going to help to reduce that stress as well? Or are we adding more stress by having it be depleted? And like, we haven't been able to have that connection or find that spark.
Yeah, and to that point that you made of, it can be kids, where for us it's not kids, right? But for other people it might be you're taking care of a parent or a grandparent.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And that's becoming more real for us now too, where we're seeing like you may be in a role of caregiving phase, and now you're just talking about caregiving. Mm-hmm. What are the needs? Mm-hmm. What's the schedule? What are the appointments? And it's like, oof, that's just like talking about the kids when you're at date night. And I think the more that you can, even for me, I think taking the mindset of this can also be that stress reliever from taking a break from work or a hard stop. Because for me, I mean, I always like to use myself as an example of areas I want to improve. But sometimes I could be so focused on the, you know, like the grind and the work that it's 6, it's 7:30, like on a weeknight or even on a Friday, and I'm still working. And I love date night because if we put date night, it's like date night's not at 8, date night's at like 5:30.
Yes, so early.
Like, there's a hard stop from work. You have to change clothes, shower, shut it off.
Yes.
We're not talking about work. And it's like this pivot into how are we doing? Like even a self check-in of like, how am I doing? Mm-hmm. And so I love being able to also, like you said, focus the conversation on. And sometimes people just need to know, like, how do I have that conversation and engage one-on-one with my partner? Like, how do I get to that point where we are having that judge-free or open dialogue?
100%. And I think that that's also a great opportunity to use your Google Calendar, right? If you have a Gmail account, then you have access to a Google Calendar. And if you are scheduling date nights out, again, doesn't necessarily need to be weekly, because I know that's not feasible for everybody. It does need to be consistent. So let's say it's bi-weekly, you know that every Friday at, 5 or 5:30, this is going to be our date night. It allows you to plan ahead, right? It allows you to also take that step back from work and realize like, okay, we need to transition now into fueling our relationship and putting that time back into our relationship. If you need to make some adjustments, you have it on your calendar. You can make adjustments. You talk about it before you do, and you can let it, again, work for you, right? Where you now know, hey, if somebody wants you to go out on that Friday, for example, that's our date nights. If they want you to go on that Friday at 5, it's like, actually, I already have something on the calendar. Can't go. So sorry. But we can, maybe I can do that tomorrow or next week when I don't have date night. But really prioritizing not only your spouse, but the dating of your spouse. Dating doesn't just end when you get married. Dating is constant, and it's going to be something that you have to continuously put the effort into. And so I think it's really interesting when we talk about, the value of quality time, why you have to invest into your date nights and make it a true priority in your relationship.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that too is when I think about the scheduling, and I really like using the calendar to make it a priority, but also what that allows you to do too is plan around what's currently already on the calendar,
Correct.
Right? So if you know that you have to drop grandma off or the kids off or something at an event, it's like, hey, they're going to be there at choir lessons for 2 hours, or they're going to be here for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Hey, drop them off, already be ready, and now that's date night for 2 hours, and we're going to pick them up. So you can build it in where now every week they've got X lesson or practice, and that's when we go and do our date night. Mm-hmm. So I think the building it in and then that prioritizing it lets your partner know that this really matters, mm-hmm. and this is
and
important. You matter, mm-hmm. right? Because so often, like, we'll let the job know they matter.
Come on now.
We letting
Kids,
come
right?
on now. We letting the person at the fast food know that extra scoop at Chipotle. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
But you don't say that to your partner, right? Right. So it's like making sure that it goes around full circle.
Yes. And so now let's get into some of the inexpensive date nights that we can do. So just to give you all an example, when Kurt and I, this was again back in 2019, that's when we were struggling the most financially. You know, we have one tank of gas that's going to hopefully last us 2 weeks.
Speaking of the tank of gas, I mean, I remember, you know, going in with that card and you get that decline. You're like, wait a minute. I can't refill? No gas? So you know you can't go on date night, at least can't drive to one. You might have to walk to date night.
Right. Like date night needs to transition to being at home.
At the park. At
the park. So we have gone through the financial struggles of not being able to have the actual money. And I'm talking about, we maybe have $10 to be able to spend on a date night or just even a meal, whatever that looks like. So then we started thinking, okay, well, what can we do at home that's still going to give us the quality time, that still allows us to be able to date each other? And one thing that we started to do was a date night jar. Yes. So this is something, this goes back to, gosh, also just when we were first married too. Like it's changed and evolved over time. But we have 2 mason jars. And we take just small pieces of paper. We'll write date nights or ideas onto this piece of paper, fold it, and then you'll put yours into your jar. I'll put mine into my jar. And when it's time for date night, you'll choose one. I'll choose one. We look at them and say, okay, which is either the best one or just the one that we want to do. And then that will become our date night. So if you're doing kind of at home, you can have an at home date night jar and you can have a going out date night jar. And, you know, you may be tipping more into the at home, which is perfectly fine. But some ideas for at home is to have a themed movie night. So I know you love movies. This is something that popcorn. So this is right up your alley. But it's taking those moments of going out and spending money, and how can we do that at home and create that same environment? So one thing that I did, I don't know if you remember this, but one thing that I did was I took all the couch cushions off of the couch. I put them on the ground. I moved like our coffee table out of the way, and I put like a sheet over. And I had blankets, I had pillows. I made like a little smorgasbord of you know, chocolate chips and M&Ms, you know, basically taking your movie snacks, bringing that into home, and then having popcorn, having drinks. I even took it a step further and made like movie tickets, little just at-home movie tickets. That took me, I mean, you can honestly print them off now, but it's just a little way that it's like, okay, this maybe costs me some paper, some ink. If you whatever snacks you already have at home, I would stay there. You know what I'm saying? Put them into a container, Ziploc, whatever you need to do. If you have a little bit of money, like, you know, $10, just go and grab a couple of snacks from, even the dollar store, you can grab some great snacks.
$10 at the dollar store, you got 10 snacks.
You have 10 snacks.
9 with tax.
Come on, don't play. So, again, right, how can I bring those outside experiences and bring them in home? So themed movie nights would be a great one. What movie would you watch?
I do remember that, and that was such a great one.
That was so good. We had like a little fire.
For sure.
So good. Cute.
Movie night, what would I watch? I'm gonna go, because it's date night, I'm definitely gonna go with a rom-com.
You love a rom-com.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be like what just came to my mind was like watching a Hitch or like a couples retreat, something in that like wheelhouse.
Okay, and then quickly, the other one that you really like it's with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. What's that one?
The Breakup.
The Breakup.
That's not you don't want to watch The Breakup for date night.
You don't.
But it's funny. Come with the kick drum and Gary.
And Gary, come. I mean, it ended up working out in the end. It did. So
it was a epitome of a rom-com.
Yes. So that one. Cooking dinner together, make it like a restaurant experience, right? I don't know if anyone has seen on Instagram, there is this mom, she has 3 kids. She literally romanticizes the experience of having, going to a restaurant. She will create like a 3-course meal. She will have little menus out in front of them. They will have like the full setup. They have their napkins, their silverware. She makes these really cute drinks for them. I think and mocktails, obviously, right? Mocktails, that's a great way too, to just incorporate what you already have at home and taking that restaurant experience and bringing it into what you're doing. And you can take it a step further and start really diving into like cuisines. Oh, so let's do an international cuisine night. First course is going to be, we're exploring the world of Mexico, right? And then the next one's going to be, we're exploring the world of Paris, right? Yeah. And just turn it into a romantic date night that doesn't have to cost you much, but then still brings in an experience.
Yeah, and also don't feel like you have to have all the answers, because I think so often, like our episode is going to give you a lot of great tips. But if you're also like, ooh, I want to do a themed night, go to Pinterest, right?
Pinterest
Search some additional ideas, create a little board that you can come back to, and it has 5 or 10 things that are like easy, inexpensive, and you can do them together.
Yes, and to your point, I have a date night board in my Pinterest, and it's been a game changer just to look back at and see, what can we do? So we're going to kind of speed through a little bit more. So you can do game night or a puzzle night. We love to do Scrabble. That's one of our favorites. Scrabble with a glass of wine, right? We have a little like fire, so that's very cute. We can do a DIY spa night. So we've done that before. You love it, and you love it.
You're like, these are chilled. I'm like,
these are chilled. I know. I'll throw like a sheet mask or the eye mask into the freezer for maybe just 10 minutes, pull those out. I'll throw that onto Kurt.
Feeling exfoliated.
He's living his best life. He's like, ooh, yeah. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, look, can I get a foot rub?
Let me put my robe on.
Let me put my robe on, right? Just really romanticizing the at-home date nights. You can do a paint and sip, which I love those. You can just go to Michael's. We've done that before too. Go to Michael's. That one's going to be a little closer to like a 20, 25 mark, depending on what type of wine, right? You want to add a little bit more. But a paint and sip, that's always a good one there too. You can do a backyard camping, which that's right up my alley. I love a good camping, right? Set up, not even a tent, right? Let's say you have bean bags, or if you have an air mattress, right, that you can blow up and just throw out there with some sheets and just hang out. A picnic is always a great one too, to be able to have right in your backyard.
Or a local park, right? Like I feel like it's such an underutilized resource of whether it's walking or going to a local area.
And we'll get into that too on the outdoor.
Free. Right? Like, sometimes that's so underserved.
It is. And a picnic's so cute. I love it. Again, whatever you already have in your house, throw that together. Look at Pinterest and or ChatGPT and type in, right? I have these ingredients, create like a menu for me. And ChatGPT will just spit something out.
Use AI to
Use
your
AI
advantage.
tools to your advantage. Lastly, this was something that I saw online and I thought it was so cute. Having a virtual tour on YouTube playing on your TV or tablet, whatever, as you are, having your glass of wine or you're enjoying that meal that you just cooked. But now you can experience like the streets of Rome, right? Like as you are at home, and again, you can be transported into another experience, but you are at home. I maybe have, just using the items that I currently have and I can move forward.
That's true. I mean, they do that when you're like on the treadmill, right? It's like you're
walking, that's what I'm saying.
You're walking through the hills of the Himalayas. Right? And now you're able to do that, but you don't have to break a sweat. You're doing it from YouTube. That's a great idea.
Come on now. Quickly, just want to go into just 5 tips. So if you're doing these at-home date nights, outdoor community date nights, you may want to make sure you plan ahead, like we mentioned with the Google Calendar. Yeah. You want to set the mood, right? That can be, again, what's the vibe? What's the ambiance? Is it candles? Is it fire? Is it, being able to just have rose petals? Like what? Set the mood, right? Dress up. I think that's something too that's underutilized, especially when you talk about at-home date nights. You're just like, listen, okay, you get me how you get me. I'm just going to be in my cute pajama set, whatever that is. Maybe that works for your movie night. But if you want to do like the virtual tour, like let's dress up like we are going to Paris, right? And let's throw on, something that makes you also feel good. But then it's like, again, this adds a second layer to the experience of being at home.
Yeah, I really like that on adding the attire or adding that elevated kind of element, because so often you think, oh, if I'm going to the $1,000 restaurant, I'm going to put my makeup on, I'm going to like get dolled up.
Yes.
Do that same thing for date night, because now it's something that you can look forward to every week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Disconnect, which is what we mentioned before, is key. Because again, going back to that quality time, you want to be able to be present in the moment. And lastly is enjoy. Enjoy yourselves. So now let's get into some more outdoor kind of community ideas. So you already mentioned exploring your local parks. I know here in Arizona, it's rare to find water, but there are some areas that you can go to that do have water that are really, Fountain Hills has a fountain that you can just explore and enjoy being around some water. You can have the picnic, feed the ducks, right? Like
Tippy Town Lake, I just thought about like the swan boats.
Swan boats, that does cost a little bit of money.
But if you think that's probably under $50. Is it a little bit over?
No, yeah, it's a little
well, guess what? Maybe not on the
get the kayaks.
Maybe
the kayaks
not. Maybe not
50.
on the swan boats, but maybe we're walking by Tempe Town Lake. That's
right.
free.
That's free.
That's free.
That's free. Look at your community events that are also free around you. Yeah. Farmers markets are also a great way to just walk around on the weekends. I know here in Phoenix, around the Churchill area in downtown Phoenix, we went to a enormous farmers market down there, and it was an incredible experience. Didn't necessarily buy too much, truthfully, but just to be able to see all of the local vendors, you're out and about with other people. We saw some people that we knew. Yeah. It just gives you another opportunity to, again, enjoy something free. You're also getting some activity because you're walking, hold hands, right? A little, public display of affection. I think that's a great way to, again, inexpensive, do something.
Yeah.
Bike ride. You can take those e-bikes if you want to take those e-bikes. Living dangerously. Watch out for the potholes. But take a bike ride or the e-bikes and just like zoom around, explore your local area. That's another way to do something that's outdoors, and that's going to be at least inexpensive in some ways. Enjoy an activity if you want to, which that can be, I know at one of our local parks, there's a pickleball court there. So that's a great way to just kind of get out. Let's dink it up here. Boom. Then I really love this idea of doing a scavenger hunt. Oh. Isn't that so cute? I thought a scavenger hunt was so cute. Depending on how long you've been together, you can do something where like you start from your first date maybe and add on to it. I know for us, Dave & Buster's was our first date. So starting there, but it could be just, and then walking around Tempe Marketplace or your local area. I think that scavenger hunt's a really great way too.
Yeah, and I think there's things like I always say, I love a good deal. We both do. Like, we love being able to find a good deal, a coupon code, any of the things.
Yes.
But other things that you can utilize that come to my mind is looking for, if, for example, your day off, you and your partner's day off or light day is Tuesday or Wednesday, use that to your advantage. Mm-hmm. There are matinees that you can go to the movies for much cheaper during the week before 5 o'clock.
Restaurants have like a lunch special.
Restaurants have a special. Or if you want to go to a movie and you haven't, maybe like you're like, hey, I want to save some money, do the drive-in or do like the $2 theater.
That's right
drive-in.
That's literally the next one is drive-in movies.
Come on
now. You picking up on late now?
We on the same page.
Yes. Drive-in movies, which they're so fun. I mean, it's so cute. You can pop your trunk. Well, we're also thinking if you have like an SUV, but we have an SUV, so we pop our trunk. We'll throw some blankets back there, pillows. We'll have a little cooler with some, beverages, and we'll have our snacks. And then you just are watching the movie. It's amazing. I really enjoy it. And then also just the community piece of it too. I really enjoy. Then lastly this sounds a little random, but tour your local landmarks. Oh. So I don't know if people know, again, we're talking specifically in Arizona because that's where we're based, but you can go to Tempe, the city of Tempe, and there are actually tours, self-guided tours that you can take, and it will take you all around Tempe. Some of them you have to walk, ride a bike or take your car. They do the same thing in Scottsdale too. I think there's 10 locations that you can go to, and it's literally a self-guided tour that you can go through. And now you're seeing local landmarks that you may have never seen before too. And then I would also say take it a step further and look at your local tourism websites, see what not only free community events they have, but then also see they have these type of, so just I would utilize that resource too. It's a free resource that you can look at, and it just allows you to get a broader idea of what you can do for date nights.
Yeah, and shout out to Tempe Tourism, right? And I think about how much we've worked with the cities and on the tourism side, but being able to find out that Restaurant Week is happening and you can get a 3-course meal for like $33, trying new things, or even going to the fair and knowing this like $2 Friday.
Yes, we love the $2 Fridays.
Oh my gosh, you go up and get a smaller sample of a bunch of different things for $2.
Fantastic.
And now you got this experience that didn't cost you an arm and a leg, but you had a great date night or a fun outing with your partner that's super memorable.
Absolutely. And so I think that when we also talk about date nights, you want to cater them to the season, right? Because there are going to be some things here in the summer that we just cannot do. In Arizona, it is too hot. And then also sticking to those themes like we mentioned before. So doing like an art night, the international cuisine night, that will just allow you to expand your horizon on what you can do for date nights. But then let's quickly talk about, though, budgeting and planning, right? Because you do need a budget for some of these. It's not going to be expensive in the sense of like we're spending $100 or more, but it might cost you, $50, $25, $10. So how do you budget for that? And I think a great way is, like you've already mentioned, is to use your apps. Sign up for loyalty programs. If you know that you enjoy a certain restaurant, sign up for their loyalty program. Not only will you get something free for your birthday, which we love, but then you'll also be able to, because some people do theme nights too, right? Like I know there's like a salsa night, or there is a karaoke night, right? Where those are fun things to do, but because you're part of the loyalty program, it's discounted for you. Sometimes depending on how many points you rack up, it can be free. So that's a great opportunity there.
Oh yeah, first thing I thought of was Benihana's.
Benihana's.
Go in, get your free birthday meal.
That's what I'm talking about.
You and your partner.
Yes.
Now that week, Benihana's is the date night for that week. You got your birthday meal for free. Your partner just like that. Those are some of the little things you can do. And then dessert, you may get a free scoop.
Yes.
At Frozen Yogurt, right?
Yes.
Shout out to Zoyo.
Absolutely. And also some tips when it comes to budgeting is if you know that you have a date night that's coming up and it's going to be a little bit more on the expensive side because you have planned ahead to look to see how much something's going to cost. Maybe it's, I'm not going to have as many coffees this week, right? I'm going to
water instead of the
coffee, right? Scaling back on eating out or scaling back on spending money. I know it's very easy with online shopping nowadays to be able to just look online, click, order, and it comes to you. But just being mindful of how much money that you are spending that week or that day. And then if you actually have dollar bills and change on you, which I don't know if people necessarily do that as much anymore. It's all about the swipe and the debit card. That's a great opportunity too to have another jar that is like, this is a date night money jar. So any extra cash that we have, we're just gonna throw it into there, and that's the money that we're gonna then use for our date nights, whether it's at home or it's gonna be outdoors.
Yeah, and for the fellas, or the ladies, if if you're a bettor, and you hit gold or you win on one of your bets, go ahead and set a little $25 or $50 to the side for that date night, because your partner's gonna be thinking, well, I heard you celebrating, your team won. Now what are we doing? Right. So just keeping in mind the fact of like I can factor this in or just budget with if I get something extra or I have some extra funds like you said, let me make sure that I put date night on the calendar.
Absolutely. And if you have to, let's say you want to do the game night or the puzzle, that does cost a little money depending on what that is. But the great thing about that is it's something that can be used over and over and over again. So also investing into your date nights and purchasing things that you can use multiple times is also a great way too, to just have some, not only like time savings, because you have that puzzle or that game, but then also it's a great opportunity to be able to have something that's, inexpensive. So lastly is going to be, when you're talking about planning, is just to involve your partner. If it's going to be, I'm here for a secret date night or a special date night that, one of your partner plans. But if we know that, hey, it's a little bit of a struggle right now and that's nothing to be embarrassed about, then we need to focus more at home. Maybe you choose a recipe, I choose a recipe, and let's make those together, or, just involving your partner in it, because sometimes you can feel a little left out, right? Where it's like, gosh, I feel like you're planning all the date nights and like, or I just don't necessarily want to do this either. Like, this isn't something that I want to do. And having that input from your partner, I think, is key.
Yeah, input from your partner is key, and also having that grace with your partner too, because sometimes we've all been there where sometimes you overextend. Like, no, we're gonna still do date night. We're gonna go out. I'm at Maple and Ash, and I don't have any money for the tip.
No.
You went to?
No.
You should have been at Cheesecake Factory.
This goes back to what we mentioned in the last episode of differentiating between your wants and your needs, right? A need, in my opinion, is date night. A want is going to be
going to a luxury restaurant.
We're purchasing bags, sunglasses, right? Yeah. Like more spending than actually investing into our relationship. So quickly to recap. Inexpensive date nights, it's the value of the quality of time, how important it is. There are a ton of at-home date nights that you can do and utilize. Outdoor community events are another great way to have just free areas of opportunity for you and your spouse to be able to get connected. You want to cater your date nights to the seasons and potentially a theme, which I'm here for a theme, and then budgeting and planning for those either at-home date nights or outdoor date nights. So thank you so much, Coupley Fit fam, for watching another episode. If you're on YouTube, we appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Also, as always, please follow us on social media at Coupley Fit, COUPLEYFIT.